Hey, thanks for joining me on the Rundown with Ramon. Today's topic is going to be a topic that I go like, or with that I know nothing about. I shouldn't say nothing. I'm learning it, been in business for several years, but we're going to talk to Stewart today. Ty is a financial expert who's going to walk us through, I think, some things that we need to know about business success for our businesses, especially regarding money and finances. And Ty, if you don't mind, also I'd love to know a bit about your business, how it's working, how it's not working, how you market it, things of that nature. So Ty, welcome to the Rundown with Ramon. I hope you are doing well and blessed today.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramon. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about this topic. This is near and dear to my heart.
I'm sure it is. So right at the top, Ty, why don't you tell us a bit about your business, and feel free to leave us with a website, how we can reach you, just so right at the top, people who want to know a little bit what you do and how you can serve them can connect with you. Talk to us.
Sure. So I'm the owner of City of Financial Solutions. We are a full-service accounting and tax firm for small business owners. We specialize in accounting, CFO services, bookkeeping, and tax prep. I'm an IRS licensed enrolled agent. So we have handle tax resolution issues. Small business owners who are having tax issues with the IRS, we help with that as well. So been doing that for over 20 years now. Started out in the nonprofit sector and just enjoyed it. Enjoyed helping people set up businesses and nonprofits and all things money, finance, and business. So that's my background.
I love it. I love it. And how long have you been in business? Have you been doing the 20 years in the financial services, or also in business for some years as well?
So I went full time on my own in 2014. So it's actually coming
Okay.
up on 10 years next year. Before that, I was just working in CPA firms and helping business owners while working another job. So full time on my own in 2014, and just kind of learning and growing the business side of things. The actual work itself, of course, I've been doing that, but entrepreneurship has been a journey these last 9 years. So just learning and growing.
It has been a journey, and maybe we'll start with that, Ty, if it's okay with you. Even before we
Absolutely.
touch on financial tips and things,
Mhm.
let's talk about the entrepreneur journey. I mean, there's a few basics, I think, of business. There's the marketing. You got to get the word out about your own business, right? You have to get
Mhm.
clients and customers, serve them. You have to get the finances right of your own business, profit and pricing and things. So maybe just talk about your journey, how you started, how you got here today. And then I do want to get your financial tips, but what was that journey like for you? What were some of the highlights and lowlights? Tell us that story.
Oh, absolutely. So like I said, been working for CPA firms and kind of working and helping other business owners. And entrepreneurship was always kind of preached in our household. My parents were missionaries and business owners, and it was one of those things where, like, hey, we need to own our own, especially in the Black community, we need to own our own. We need to be able to, like, build and create generational wealth and all that. And we're not going to be able to do that just working a job sometimes. We need to, have our own business. So it was always preached to me. It was always in the back of my mind that I was going to be a business owner. The scary part, of course, is quitting your 9 to 5, quitting that, that steady, consistent income, having that paycheck every 2 weeks. So for a number of years, I kind of worked on the side, but never really took the leap to completely go full time on my own until the last place that I worked for, which was quite a doozy. It was a lot of drama, a lot of internal issues, but it was kind of like placed in me like this is the time to go full time on your own, like you continuing to help build other people's businesses and build wealth in other people's companies, and you're not doing it for your own self. So it was like, yeah, this is the time to go. And it was a lot of drama, so it was, I was going to quit anyway, so that was kind of the catalyst as well, like I gotta go. um Oddly enough, after I quit June 2014, and by December, that business had dissolved anyway. So I would have been out of a job.
Wow.
Unbeknownst to me, I would have still been out of a job. So, but yeah, it's scary going out there. You're like, well, how am I going to maintain consistent income? Me being an introvert, I'm like, oh, now I got to talk to people and I got to, drum up business and be social and all of that. And I was like, oh, scary. So, but it was always, in me, just like own your own, work for yourself. I wanted that financial freedom, but I also wanted that time freedom to be able to not have to ask somebody, I want to do this, I want to do that, and can I go? And then having to be at their mercy. So, but I mean, I loved my jobs. Every job that I've been at was always I was looking at it from a business owner perspective versus an employee perspective, and taking notes, and looking at the infrastructure and figuring out how I could apply that to my job. So I've always been a student, so same with any job. So yep, and
How
that was 2014.
I love it. How was that first year in business? Give me some of the pillars of the journey. Was that, how did you get your first client? Did it grow? Was it overall pretty well over the next 10 years, or were there some lows? And it could have been just great. I don't know. But how was it? Did your first few clients? And then how did that trajectory happen to where you get to talk to Ramon Ray on the Rundown with Ramon today?
Yes, it has been a roller coaster, especially those first few years. As a consultant, I do not recommend people do as I did, but basically what I did was get my first client and then quit my job. And that was, for me, that's not enough. So, but again, it was.
You mean you recommend they get more than one client? You're saying not have zero clients, but
Right.
that was good that you got a client though, right? It was good.
It was
Okay.
good, but it was also a lot was going on there as far as that one client and trying to keep up. So it was essentially kind of still unstable, and so I kind of recommend being more financially stable.
Sure.
Before you actually quit and dive 100% in. But yeah, I used a technique that I still use to this day, which is going to job boards and looking for business owners who need or are hiring an accountant or a bookkeeper or something like that, and then selling them on the advantages of actually outsourcing it to our company versus hiring another employee and having payroll taxes and all that kind of stuff. So we actually still use that technique here and there as we grow. But found my first client that way. They were looking to hire, and I ended up being a contractor for them. So I went ahead and quit my job, worked for them. I was in a space where I was taking on any client, any and everybody. So I was charging way less than I should have been. So it has been a roller coaster. I've learned a lot through the years, learned by doing, and then also by being involved in different communities, like masterminds, like conferences that cater to my particular industry, so that I can learn and grow, learn from other people who have done it, learn what I need to stop doing, what I need to start doing. And that's how I got involved in the mastermind that I'm in now, which is how I met you. So, but it's definitely been a roller coaster. It's been inconsistent in those first few years, and things are, of course, more stable now. But I just learned by doing, by bumping my head against the wall, by making mistakes, by realizing, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I know now, never do that again. Stuff like that. So.
I love it. And then regarding pricing, you mentioned that you were charging way too little. What was that like? How did you know you were charging little? Why did you raise your prices? And I'm guessing just some things I hear. Was it the intimidation? Like, okay, Ty, what's your rate? $100 an hour? No, $90 an hour. You go to my church, $80 an hour. You probably can't afford it, $60 an hour. Oh, you have a brown shirt, $40 an hour. You know what? You're my friend, $10 an hour. You know I'll do for free. Was it something like that? Or?
You know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh my God, yes. It was trying not to, trying to be nice, trying to meet people where they are, well, what can you afford? Well, I can put you on this payment plan for this $100.
Sure.
Is all types of stuff. So started out charging $50 for a tax return. And and have grown exponentially from then. But it was everything you just said. It was, trying to be nice, trying to accommodate people, being afraid that they're going to say it's too expensive and they won't do business with me. And, again, it was more about quantity versus quality clients back then. So that was, that's where I was. So definitely being involved in other accounting masterminds, accounting groups, learning from colleagues as I go to different conferences. They've helped me, increase my prices to industry standards, and then also to better develop my niche and those clients that I like to work with, and those prices that I should be reasonably charging. So, so it's every year it's gone up a little bit more, and of course there's still those little core group of family and friends that are getting the family friend discount from way back when, but.
Girlfriend, I'm going to slap you silly. You charging grandmama that? No.
I can't charge grandma industry.
Or whoever.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just can't do it.
Yes. But that's why we're in business,
They're
right? We can charge them a higher price, so we can charge who we want, whatever we want. That's
exactly.
good.
That's a
Yes.
small group percentage of people now.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah. I love
and of
it.
course, I still grew up in community social service and volunteering and giving back. So I always spent some time doing like, free tax prep for my church's community or for the community outreach program or mentoring others who are kind of getting started and stuff like that. So there's other ways to do free work and give back.
Absolutely. No, I love it. And you mentioned also about how taking on any client. What did you do, and what's the lesson we can learn this aspect of taking on any client?
It's definitely gonna increase your stress. So if you're trying to be more efficient in your business and you're trying to not burn out, I would recommend like finding that core group of clients that you really enjoy working with. A lot of times you have to start out taking everybody just so you can kind of figure that out, which is what happened in my case. So I ended up really enjoying the work I was doing with online business owners, affiliate marketers, service-based entrepreneurs. Ended up getting a lot of clients that are in the influencer space, YouTubers, speakers, coaches, that type of thing. So I've had clients in all different industries, but I found that I really enjoyed that core group, and I was also involved, in that online business space as well. So you may start out, having to take any and everybody, but kind of keep in mind, you're refining your process as you go, and so you don't want to stay there for too long.
Love that. I love that. And then let's talk about, yeah, I think this is good about your business. I want to dive into some of your business success, but anything you wanted to mention, Ty, anything you wanted to address that I didn't ask you about your journey, anything that'll be helpful, lessons you learned, and it may tie into tips on finances as well, but it didn't ask you that you think would be helpful for this audience?
Absolutely. I mean, from the finance perspective, of course, you want to make sure that you have several months, 6 months to a year of emergency funds before you
Okay.
quit completely, just because it is a roller coaster ride. At the same time, if you are you're used to getting a paycheck every 2 weeks or, first of the month, and you're kind of managing your personal finances that way, it's going to help for when you start your business to kind of keep that same cadence. So I always recommend, making sure that you are not intermingling your business finances with your personal finances. If you got to pay your bills, that's fine, but kind of keep that same rhythm of, oh, I'm going to pay myself every 2 weeks. If you want to keep the same schedule, because that's kind of what we're used to. But then also, it's a way to make sure that your books are clean, that your financial system is clean. You're not muddying up your business bookkeeping because you've got oh, I had to go to pay my rent or pay my groceries and I got it out of my business account, or vice versa.
But Ty, I'm not a big business. I'm only making 60,000 a year. I mean, why not? Listen. I want to. My kid wants a lollipop. It's one business card, right? It's my money. It's my money anyhow. So my kid wants a lollipop. I got to buy shoes for the church offering, and then I'm gonna subscribe to something online for my business, and then listen. I got packages from Amazon for business and personal. Does it really matter, Ty? I mean, come on, Ty. It's not that much money. I'm not.
Yeah. No, the main thing is compliance, making sure, because the IRS does not care about the amount that you're spending. And then also the habits, you're forming good habits. Sure, you're not making, much right now, but what are you going to do when you start making 1 million? You're going to keep those same habits. It's like, it's getting in the habit of operating as a CEO, operating as a true business. So you can't say, well, and I've heard that a lot, oh, well, I'm not making much money. So, I'm treating it kind of almost like a side hobby. Like if this is your intention to run a real business, be profitable and all that, you got to start building that infrastructure now. You got to start putting those things in place that are going to, continue on, and as you're continuing to grow exponentially. So forming good habits now, so they follow through in the future. I've always had people, I do a lot of like book cleanup. So we go in and we like clean up their bookkeeping, set up their systems and all that. And I hear that a lot, like, oh, it's just, we really didn't make much money. We spent more than we made this year. Which is,
Yeah, it don't matter.
yeah, it's understandable, but it's also more work in the long run, because now we have to go back through all of your finances and see, okay, was this business or was this personal? And then you're trying to remember what you did and all that. And it's, the infrastructure is so much easier to set up when you're not making any money versus, oh, now we're at $100,000 a year, we're now at 250, and now you're trying to go back and figure stuff out, and you have a whole lot more transactions, you have a whole lot more activity, and it's more burdensome then. So yeah, I say start, while you're small, while you don't have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, let me push back on something you talked about the IRS. Listen, I understand Exxon and GE and Microsoft and Amazon. IRS only cares about them, right? I mean, those are big businesses, billion-dollar businesses. Read about it in Business Week. Read about it in New York Times. Bernie Madoff, big people like that. That really doesn't apply to me. We're making less than 500,000, less than 300,000, right?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No, the small business owner, those Schedule C business owners, those sole proprietors are just as much, if not more, prone to getting audited because, the IRS knows we can go in and, these are like easy cases, like
Sure.
people are not managing their funds, they're not managing their businesses right anyway. So Schedule Cs, and then especially with all of the risk involved for filing fraudulent returns and people making up stuff, the smaller you are, I think the more they come after you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have had an audit, by the way, so my questions were just setting you up to go. So when I had my audit, it was funny that I've never been involved with it. To me, again, how I grew up, authority and et cetera are nice people that in general, and all humans are nice, but everybody has a job to do. So, lady called me. She had a Southern accent and Southern drawl, and that biased me already. And so she called, "Hey, Mr. Ray, we would like to stop by your house." Blah 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 blah. And so I just said, before I talk further, let me just call my accountant. Let me just see. They're like, "Ramon, never speak to them ever again. Never, ever. Only they will speak to us." I'm like, "Really?" They're like, "Yes. Stop right now."
Yep. And that's what
They
your
saved me.
CPAs and your EAs and your
Yep.
attorneys are for, because those are the people that represent you in front of the IRS. Those are the people that actually manage those audits and stuff for you. So that was completely right. Like, don't
Yeah.
say another word, because you can end up, saying the wrong thing and then
Yeah.
getting yourself into a little bit more trouble because they're listening and looking for every little thing. So
For sure, yeah, for sure. So I learned a lesson there. You're talking to thousands and thousands of people, Ty. You have about 10 minutes
Okay.
or less or more. But what's finance 101 for the average business? I know it's not a fair question. It depends on type and all that. But just from your broad experience working all these years in finance, what are maybe the question could be, what are some common mistakes? Some you mentioned already. Don't commingle funds. Have a cushion. What's the word you used?
An emergency fund. Yep.
Emergency fund, and pay yourself regularly. So those are three. Anything else, like you think, Ramon, here's an overall of how to set up your business right. And I'm sure the fourth one I'll add, do have a financial expert, whether you call it bookkeeper, accountant. I know there's differences, but have somebody on your team. What else should I be asking you that you could say, Ramon, here's an overall thing that every business owner, every entrepreneur should note?
Yes. You want to make sure, as we were talking about your money team, and not talking to the IRS about audits, letting them handle that. You want to make sure that you have your money team in place, and that's going to include people like insurance agents to help you find the best rates for all of your business insurance needs. You want to make sure you have a banker and establish a relationship with a banker, with a bank that you trust, so that you can get those resources and things that you need from them directly. And you want to make sure you have an accountant and an attorney. So I think those are kind of the four main pillars of people that you need on your finance team: your insurance, accountant, attorney, and banker. And all that's going to kind of help make sure that you have your financial systems in place. You understand what's going on. And just talking about your financial system, your bookkeeping system, there are three main pillars to that. So you want to make sure that as a business owner, your tax strategy is in place. You got self-employment income coming in now. You have other things besides W-2 income. So that tax structure and that tax strategy needs to be in place. I usually recommend that people meet with their accountant or their tax professional at least twice a year. You want to do a mid-year review. You don't want to just meet when it's time to do your taxes. You want to meet throughout the year, quarterly if you can, but at least by the mid-year point, so that you can kind of go over, okay, this is where we are now. What is it looking like? If we continue on this path, are we going to have a huge tax bill? Are we going to, break even? Like, what's going on? And that gives you time to make adjustments when you need to. So You got plenty of time to pivot, to make some changes so that your tax situation at the end of the year is more favorable. But yeah, you want to have your tax strategy in place. You want to have your bookkeeping system in place. And that's just like we talked about earlier, just so that you understand exactly how your business is functioning. And if you're commingling your business and your personal finances together, that's going to make it much harder to read. So you've got your bookkeeping system, you've got your tax strategy, and then you have your metrics or your KPIs. And those metrics and KPIs are going to be, of course, they're gonna be based on your bookkeeping system, your strategy, your setup for your company. So I always say, just, like I said, even while you're small and you're not making a lot of money or you're just getting started, it's important to have that system in place. So I hear a lot of times people are like, well, I'm not making any money yet, so if I need to figure out if I can afford something or if I can buy it, I just look at my bank statement or log into the bank and see, well, what's in there. And yeah, you have your business, bank account set up in place and all of that, and that's fine. But I wouldn't call bank account accounting like best practices. Because again, you've got bills coming up, you're not able to really budget that way. You're just looking to see if there's money in the bank, and it causes you to sometimes, make wrong decisions when you should be, kind of looking at the big picture. So, especially when you're starting out, you know your goals, your revenue goals, what you want to accomplish with your business. And so having a bookkeeping system in place is going to help you kind of look at that and be able to track and measure your growth. I think it's Peter Drucker who says you can't grow what you don't measure. So a bookkeeping system, whether it's, just using an Excel spreadsheet or, using something like Xero or QuickBooks, is going to help you keep everything organized, be able to see, at a glance how your business is doing, be able to understand trends. Maybe we do a whole lot better during the holiday season or, during the summer, that kind of thing. It helps you see trends. It helps you analyze exactly what your business is doing, and then helps you make changes. A lot of times when we are cleaning up people's books, we find out that they're paying for systems or they're paying for tools that they don't even use. They've got subscriptions, here, there, and everywhere. Sometimes they, try a 30-day trial of something that they think is going to help them in their business, and then they forget to cancel it. And so all this time you've been paying and paying and paying, and you're like, oh, but I'm thinking I don't have any money. But there's so many opportunities for you to free up money when you actually, have your books organized and in place. So that's.
Can I tell you a story? But
Yeah.
you have to promise not to laugh out loud. You have to laugh inside.
No
Like you can't burst out laughing. You just got to a little chuckle.
No judgment.
I was wondering, revenue's different and changed or whatever, and I realized bottom line is I forgot to invoice a client or two or three. My business, one part of it is a few big checks. I'm like, oh. So, what to do?
I can't judge because I've done that myself. So
Yes. Talk to the person who's starting their business. What's your advice for those just starting a business, Ty? What should they know? They're just starting.
definitely, you want to understand your what structure you should be in. A lot of times people are thinking, oh, all the advice, of course, everywhere is like, oh, set up an LLC. That's fine, but also understand why you're setting it up, what it's for. Is it actually, because for some people, just setting up a DBA is enough when they're getting started, just a doing business as, depending on their business. An LLC is important if you're looking at, separating tax liability or just, liability in general with the business, and you want to kind of keep things separate, but understand why you're doing that, and not just, well, somebody on TikTok said do this. So make sure that you understand what that's for. And then also, I've come across businesses where, somebody told them, oh, set up an S Corp, it'll be great. If you're not making enough profit to actually support or to justify having an S Corporation, then I wouldn't do it. For small business owners who are just getting started, I'm all about, bootstrapping as much as possible, not having unnecessary expenses, and not creating more bills or more stress on yourself then you have to. So you're already starting, you're getting your business started, you're trying to, meet your clients' needs and all that. You're not going to spend a lot of time worried about all this other extra paperwork. And a lot of times as corporations, there's a lot more paperwork, there's a lot more things that you have to do, and a lot more cost involved. An S corp tax return is exponentially more than a personal tax return. But sometimes people think, well, I need to set this up in order to look legit. You can look just as legit with a lot less expenses and a lot less hassle and paperwork and stuff. So that's one of those things as well. I would say if somebody's telling you to incorporate, understand why and why you should do that, if it's actually going to be beneficial or if it's just going to be a lot more work involved. Because sometimes people just tell you to do it because they figure they can charge you more money for it later on. And I'm like, for small business owners who are just getting started, do the minimum you need to do without, of course, getting in trouble and doing something illegal. So. And then also,
I love it. Please.
Pay attention to those deductions. In that first year when you're usually spending more than you're making, completely, start that business bank account and put those funds there and just work from that. Because even though, you're not making money, you're still able to write off all those startup expenses. And so it makes it a lot more clear how much you're spending in the business if you're just doing it from that business bank account versus from your own pocket.
I love it. Powerful. One more time, give us the full name of your business and your website. And then anything else I didn't ask you that you wanted to share, feel free about working with you or whatever you'd like to share. But one more time before we end, just give us your full name of your business and the website one more time. I want people here on the Rundown with Ramon to know where they can go to work with somebody amazing if they're the right fit client.
Yes, thank you. So again, I'm Ty Stewart, Sadia Financial Solutions. We're a full-service accounting and tax firm. You can find us at www.sadiafinancial.com, and that's SAIDIA financial.com. Right now, we are actually running a special for those small business owners who have no books in place for 2023 and figured this is the year I was going to get started and I was going to get all that done. And then now it's August and they don't know. So we actually have a special promotion running for those business owners now, which includes helping them get their business financial system set up, all of the automations you need, all of the infrastructure to manage your business finances. And then also we help to clean up your books for this year so that you actually are able to look at a financial statement and see how your business has been doing for this past year. So.
I love it. Anything I didn't ask you? Anything else you wanted to share, Ty, before we wrap up? For me, this has been a great discussion. Again, I can't solve everybody's problems in 30 minutes, about finance, but I think it's given us a good pointer, things you've gone through and the tips you've given. But anything else you wanted to share today?
Yeah, sure. Just real quick, your
Take your time.
finance system also includes, in addition to the cloud-based software that we talked about, make sure that you are keeping track of those receipts. Make sure that you have a filing system set up, a digital filing system where you're backing those receipts up. When you're buying something and you get a physical receipt, take a picture of it, file it away into that to that folder as soon as possible. You are able to use digital receipts to justify your deductions according to the IRS. So at the very least, if you're just getting started today and you have nothing in place, go back through what you've done so far and gather those receipts. Put them, create a folder, get them in there, and that will kind of help you get a jump start on what needs to be done for the rest of the year.
I love it. Ty Stewart, one more time, the name of your website.
Sadia Financial, S as in Sam, A-I, D as in dog, I-A, financial.com.
I love it. Ty Stewart, Sadia Financial, bookkeeping and accounting services. I'm Ramon Ray. This has been The Rundown with Ramon. You can get to know me better at ramonray.com or check us out at zoneofgenius.com. Thanks, Ty.